Hey folks, welcome back to the Lone Pine Tarot, or of course, welcome to the channel for the very first time if you're brand new here. And thank you so much for joining me today for what I call Day 2 of Mystic Midsummer Week 2025. So to continue our celebration of the season, especially around the themes of light and the summer solstice, our topic for Day 2 is a blessing that will soon light up your life. So without further ado, let us choose our piles. We're once again choosing with different tarot decks today. So for my wonderful pile number 1s over here on the left, you're choosing with the Sun from the Wild Reflections Tarot. For pile number 2 here in the middle, you're choosing the Sun from the Ethereal Visions Tarot. And last but not least, for my wonderful pile number 3 over here on the right, you're choosing the Sun from the Tarot for the Great Outdoors deck. Okay, so quick refresher, pile 1, Wild Reflections, pile 2, Ethereal Visions, and pile 3, Tarot for the Great Outdoors. But as I always say, you are perfectly welcome to pause on this part of the video if you need more time to decide. If you're new to pick a card readings and you need a little bit of guidance, I like to guide all of us through what I call a meditative moment. So close your eyes, take in a deep, cleansing breath, and imagine light filling your lungs, and hold it for just a few moments. And then when you breathe back out again, open your eyes, and where are they drawn most first? What feels right down in your gut, or as we like to call it, our intuition? And that is the pile I recommend you choose for your blessing reading today. But whatever your method, whenever you are ready, you can drop down to the description box below or the top pinned comment beneath the video. Find the timestamp for your tarot deck /pile, and I'll see you in our little chat about the blessing that will soon light up your life. See you there. Hello there, my wonderful pile number 1. Welcome to your pick a card reading about a blessing soon to light up your life. And of course, as you can recall, you picked for your pile today the Wild Reflections Tarot. So as we always do when we pick with tarot cards, I like to set them right back into the deck so that they're available for the message if need be. And speaking of, let's begin with a tarot spread as well as a Lenormand spread to get more context and details around where this blessing is coming from in your life, as well as what the blessing itself is. So calling on spirit guides for pile 1 today. Can you tell us more about this blessing? Thank you. Okay. Those cards for sure wanted to come out. That is 1, 2, 3. And then we have 2 more to choose. So I'm going to just split the deck here. 1 and 2. Okay, and then let us draw your Lenormand cards. So same thing, spirit guides for pile 1. If possible, do you have concrete details? More on what the blessing is or where it's coming from? Thank you. Okay, let's unveil your first spread of cards, pile 1. So looking at the Lenormand actually to begin, you've received the whip or the broom. All right. The snake, the shedding snake specifically. And the songbirds. Okay, so right off the bat, pile 1, as I draw your tarot cards and lay them down, there's something your spirit guides are coming forward to tell you about where it's like something has been kind of harsh in your life recently, or has been like a repetitive negative cycle, or the whip or the broom can sometimes represent someone that has been like nagging or has had harsh words for you. So this is kind of the area I'm seeing this blessing coming from, and especially because you have the snake shedding specifically right afterwards, as well as the birds. What that means when you read Lenormand the traditional way is harsh words or negative repetition being shed in communication about that particular thing. So far, at least with the bluntness of Lenormand, the blessing is something to do with getting rid of this negative or harsh or repetitive thing, shedding it, like the snake says, and then part of the context or the medium from which this blessing comes about is through a communication of some sort because of the context of the birds here at the end. But like I said, we do have tarot cards to also look at, so let's gain more details. We have the Tower as the very starting card. Okay, so that explains a lot, pile one. The Tower, especially as, you know, the inciting incident, well, the Tower can represent a disaster of some sort. We have two people falling from a high tower, lightning is striking. Okay, very stormy. It can also represent a moment of very pivotal change. So I get the feeling, because this is the inciting incident, pile one, this is related to the harsh thing that's going to change. Okay, so with that greater detail, it's almost like, I think whatever this repetitive harshness, or like someone that's been nagging or been really nasty to you in terms of like their words, it caused some sort of pivotal change that was not good. Okay, maybe it even disrupted your life in some way, like potentially like the loss of a job, or it could have been, you know, maybe you had to leave your living situation, or I'm trying to think of like other things that Tower moments can result in. Just think of like some sort of moment of pivotal change that wasn't necessarily for the better, okay? That's what they're saying in context, especially with the whip or the broom that we saw earlier. Then we also have the Ace of Cups, a new relationship or a new emotion, especially a blessing in this area. We'll talk about that more in a moment. I think that's part of the shedding of the Lenormand card. We have the Page of Wands reversed as the heart of the matter. Okay, maybe needing to explore our passions more, needing to be more confident with the way that we explore the things that make us feel ambitious or creative. Then we have the Three of Wands reversed. Okay, obstacles in the way of our plans. That might have also be part of what was going on here. Maybe you had a really big goal in mind or a really big plan in mind. This whip came in, or the broom, and combined with the Tower, it's like these things are the obstacles or the mountain that got in your way that has been causing the issues, like with you trying to go forward with plans of yours, okay? And then last but not least, we have the Two of Cups reversed. So we have a lot of reversals, and traditionally in most readings, pile number one, I would read reversals in the more traditional way, in which case it's sometimes I would read them as something that needs to be improved or something that is missing. Now in a blessing reading, I tend to see this as things that are going to be improved, because a blessing is something that comes your way with, you know, it's more from the universe rather than, not necessarily that there isn't any effort on your part for this, but that's just how I read reversals with blessing readings. Okay, so what I'm hearing here is not only is there going to be a time of shedding of whatever this harsh, pivotal, negative thing or person was. They're going to leave your life. You're going to shed them, like the snake says, like shedding its skin, almost even a renewal on life too, because that's another representation or symbolism of why the snake sheds its skin. It's a symbol of renewal, like things becoming anew again, like rebirth, things like that, okay? And you're, you know, it's interesting because you have the Ace of Cups and the Two of Cups at the end here reversed. I think if this is a person that has been causing issues for you, pile one, you're going to get someone new that will take their place that is more positive for you. Now that will very widely differ depending on what this or who this person is to you as to what that might be. Say a boss leaves that's been negative, you get a new boss that's really awesome. Okay, that's one example. Or if your situation is more like, you know, you had a bad breakup of some sort because of someone that was harsh or nagging or negative, this is like a sign of finding a new relationship soon, okay? Of someone that's a lot better for you than the person that you were with before, okay? So like I always say with these readings, kind of extrapolate it to your particular situation. Those are just two examples. Because the Ace of Cups represents a new relationship of something, okay? Or a new emotion, a new way to feel about something. So, which is, I mean, very positive to get right after a Tower moment, because Tower moments are not fun, pile one. We all know this, and those of you familiar with tarot, you probably saw the Tower and were like, oh no, right? But, of course, you know, if this is resonating, you'll understand that, you know, what your situation is, and you'll be like, oh, okay, that Tower makes sense, right? But, now, like, also what's improving, because there's some other context here, like I said, with these three reversals at the end, you know, we have the Page of Wands reversed. I think, too, this new relationship or this new, whatever it is that's being, replacing the old thing that was bad, in a better way than the previous person or thing had been working for you. It will inspire you to explore your passions more, explore creativity more, or your ambitions. That's another really good word to use with the wand suit and tarot, okay? Especially because right afterwards you've got the Three of Wands reversed as well. And the Three of Wands reversed in a blessing reading tends to mean obstacles that were in your way that are lifting based on goals that you were trying to seek. So, you know, if someone maybe had kind of screwed you over, or if someone had really kind of messed you up, pile one, with something that you were going after, be it, you know, a positive relationship, romantically, or even platonically too, or say like a promotion or a job or something like that, whatever was messed up for you in this situation, the obstacles are going to remove. You're going to have more room to explore these ambitions, okay? And then, once again, we have a little bit of an echo of the Ace of Cups here with the Two of Cups reversed in a blessing reading. Now, normally I'd read that as, you know, disharmony in a relationship or, you know, something not going well between two people. However, like I said, in blessing readings, I read these a bit differently. And what I see with that is this is what's going to get fixed. There's going to be a positive relationship coming into your life. And even funny, when you look at this Two of Cups, well, I guess you could technically see it as a sunset, right? But you could also see it as a dawn. It's kind of hard to tell. And in fact, I'll even just hold it up for you upright so you can kind of see a bit clearer, right? Could be a sunset, but when I first looked at it, I was like, you know what, that looks like a dawn to me for some reason. So it's like a new beginning of some sort. And like you can see here, it's two people starting a relationship that's harmonious, very balanced, okay? So I think too, even if it's not a person that maybe you left behind or had caused issues, there's some aspect of this blessing that's going to improve your relationships or your harmony with others in some way. So like, say it's a job related thing, maybe it's potentially like finding a new job that's more harmonious with you as a person. Okay, so it's kind of like, in that case, the relationship, quote unquote, would be like your relationship to your job or your career. Okay, so whatever has been plaguing you recently in terms of, like I said, harsh, pivotal, really just had changed a lot of things, maybe even turned things on its head, you're going to see improvement and progress in this area, okay? And it's also going to be communicated to you soon. So especially because of those songbirds, pile one, if, say, your situation is you've been looking for a new job, the birds tends to mean something's going to be communicated to you soon, as I said. So literally that would be like getting a call, hey, you got the job, when do you want to start? Something along those lines. Or same thing, even if it's like a promotion, hey, you got the promotion, you start with this particular new title on this day. Okay, like I said. But let's grab your other cards. I do have some Oracle decks that I want to pull to get just some final, at least from the Oracle decks, details on this blessing. And then at the end, we might also pull some additional tarot cards. We'll see how the reading goes in terms of details. But Spirit Guides, anything else about this blessing you want to say to pile one? Either just confirming things that I was picking up intuitively, or, you know, maybe potentially more aspects of the blessing. We have a landscape, literally the gift. That's a really good card to get for a blessing reading, right? Pile 139, if you're interested in numerology. Present, honoring, and offering. So something's going to be offered to you. So once again, that's just a really good confirmation if you've been waiting, say, for like a callback on a job interview. Offering is a fantastic kind of card to get. I know typically it like, you would hear offering and you think in a spiritual context, like, you know, oh, an offering to a deity or something, but literally because of the context of the gift in this card, it's like something being given to you, like literally how this woman is handing something forward made of light. And also even the symbolism of the waterfall in the background is like all of this water flowing down, like it's just a deluge, like just a rain of blessing, okay? Which is interesting because you got all these cups earlier. You got the Two of Cups and the Ace of Cups, and those cards tend to represent water as the suit of water in tarot, okay? So especially in terms of connections and relationships, this is a really good sign as well for gifts in that area. Very beautiful. So typically, because this is a landscape, I'd put it up here, but we have your Lenormand kind of sticking out, so I'm going to just put it on the side. Feel free to pause earlier if you still want to look at that card a little bit longer, but we'll just put that over to the left to save room for all the other cards to show. And then last but not least, we have the Citadel Oracle. Any more details, Spirit Guides? I even kind of want to know how it comes about. I mean, I know we talked about maybe the medium being a communication of some sort, but like more details in that area would be really cool. So we'll see what else spirit guides say here. Okay, there's a lot that really just wanted to pop out here. Okay, there's one that really is like standing out. Feeling this one back here. We have interesting, the gambler with the element of earth, with loss and risks. Interesting, because, you know, we go from like a card of the gift to gambler with loss and risks. And for some reason in my community here, if those of you are not familiar with the channel and like maybe this is the first video you're seeing, or maybe you don't watch like every single one of my videos, which, you know, totally understandable if so, you can't watch every single video, right? But this card has been coming up a lot in our community for some interesting things, maybe some sort of collective energy. But getting back to your blessing reading, you know, loss, risks, I wonder if that talks about what the disaster was. I don't know if you lost something really big. Like, I know some of you, it might have been like a job, which of course is like a huge loss, right? Or it's like the thing that you're trying to find to replace the thing that you lost or that was harsh or left your life is, you thought it was like a risky thing, but it's something that's going to pay off. Especially because this is a blessing reading. It's going to pay off, and especially too when we think of a gambler, we think of things regarding like money. Now you didn't get any Pentacles cards here, so that typically would be a sign of this being like a financial related thing. But the gambler is usually, you know, a gambler typically gambles money, right? So that makes me think that if it was a loss in the past or with that Tower moment, it was financial loss of some sort for most of you. And then same thing too. With what you're gaining in the future, replacing what was lost, it's a gain of finances after having taken a risk or having taken one of those losses, okay? And then, as I said, let's do a final 3 tarot cards just for some extra maybe details here from Spirit Guides, a little bit of a bow to tie up the reading with. Spirit Guides, anything else you want to tell pile 1 about this blessing? Maybe about how it's coming or just more about what it's going to bring to them? Okay, we have the King of Pentacles. We finally have a Pentacles card. And the King of Pentacles is also a really fantastic card to get if especially you are concerned about things regarding career or finances. He's literally like the master of the financial suit. Especially when it comes to masculine energy, since he's a king. He's really good with finances and career in terms of actions taken. With masculine energy, with control, with authority and power and things like that. Tangible, more outward action, okay? So, I think for at least most of you, this is going to be really good in terms of your finances and career, all right? So that's popping forward for sure. Let's keep shuffling. 2 more, please, Spirit Guides. And then I might just cut the deck, too, if nothing really stands out. Yeah, here. I'm going to cut it off screen just down here a little bit. So we have this one, and then we have this one. We'll set the deck off to the side, and then here's number 1. Interesting, so the Ace of Pentacles reversed. Now, like I said, in a blessing reading, I read reversals a little bit different. So an Ace of Pentacles reversed in a blessing reading pile 1 means an opportunity that was denied to you before will be given to you. So especially for those of you that have been job hunting, I don't know if you've been like rejected a lot. Like you feel like every opportunity just gets away from you. But especially with the power of the King of Pentacles as a part of your reading here, it's like flipping those things around. Because if there's anything a King of Pentacles energy is good at, it's finding opportunities and being really astute about seeing where new seeds can grow in terms of career and finances, okay? And then last but not least, we have the Empress reversed. So once again, a reversal. Things that felt fallow before, things that felt like they were very dry and like just nothing would grow there, that's also going to improve with the Empress reversed here because, like I said, that's energy I see as improving in this kind of reading. So the Empress tends to represent mother energy. It tends to represent like nurturing, fertility, creativity is another thing, which we did see a little bit with that Page of Wands reversed earlier as well. So greater creativity, maybe even for those of you this is like a new job, it allows you more creative expression, or like it's not quite as like rigid in terms of like it would be like a job that feels less of being a cog in the machine and more a job that actually like is or like a workplace, I should say, that's more interested in your uniqueness and your ideas, okay? Which is rare. A lot of workplaces, they just want a cog in a machine. They just want, you know, as we say, a butt in a chair, right? This place feels different for those of you that are looking for a job, just for an example, right? Yeah, and it's just greater nurturing, greater fertility, especially around new opportunities here. These energies changing. Because, and this is what I was saying before, you know, I said usually a blessing is something kind of given to you by the universe. However, a lot of times you do have some sort of effort that you put into it to earn it, right? Pile one, you know, say maybe you've been calling a lot of places for a job, or you've been working really hard on your business, whatever this means for you, okay? That's that King of Pentacles energy too, where it's like your spirit guides commending you, where they're like, you've been steering the ship, because literally like he has his hands on a ship wheel. You've been steering the ship in such a good way and doing the exact right things that these are the things that are going to improve because of a ripple effect from your mastery over financial and career decisions, okay? And in terms of the communication, like I said, I think that's the medium through which you're going to be hearing about this blessing. You're going to hear someone literally say something or write something to you. That's what the birds means in Lenormand. If I had to pick out a person related to that, the King of Pentacles, of course, is a masculine energy. So it's very possible that for a lot of you, you're going to hear something back from someone that is a King of Pentacles. So masculine, could be an earth sign because he is the master of the earth suit. Also someone that is very advanced in their career, or like they're very successful at the thing that you're trying to do, okay? Or the thing that you're trying to get back or replace that you lost before, okay? So keep an eye out for that masculine energies, right? Especially too with the Empress reversed, and that context means something without feminine energy. So definitely I'm hearing probably the communication would be from a masculine person, okay? So same thing too if it's like a romantic or dating related thing, okay? Most likely it's someone with masculine energy or exudes a lot of that type of energy, you know, being action oriented, being an earth sign, like we said too, being a King of Pentacles. And overall, it's just a very good overhaul of something that you felt you lost and would never regain, or you have it like you've been having a really hard struggle trying to replace whatever this thing or this person was in your life. And it's like your spirit guide's coming forward saying, okay, now here comes the renewal with the snake after that harsh time. And that's going to be communicated to you soon with greater blessings in terms of your emotions, in terms of exploring your passions. And then, of course, here at the very end, we had a lot of pentacles, which means greater blessings in terms of your finances. And remember the gift, too. Being offered something. You're going to be offered something. Okay? So keep an eye out for that. Right? So that is your reading for today about the blessing that will light up your life soon, pile number 1. I hope you liked it. I hope it resonated. And of course, most of all, I hope that it helped you. And if you did like the video and the reading, please, well, like it. Please comment down below. Please subscribe to Lone Pine Tarot if you haven't done so yet. As I always say, my little thing here, my little whatever, a thing I kind of repeat every time is, you know, it's just a tiny button click away for you. Just half a second, which helps me immeasurably with supporting the dream of this channel of spiritual healing people around the world forevermore into the future, as well as providing more free readings for you and others too. And as is our tradition, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next reading. Bye, Pile 1. Hello there, my wonderful pile number 2. Welcome today to your pick a card reading about a blessing that will light up your life soon. And of course, as you recall, you chose the Ethereal Visions Tarot for your deck today. Now, as I always say when we choose with tarot decks, I like to put the card that we used in the beginning right back into the deck so it's available for the message if need be. And let's start your blessing reading today with a tarot spread using the said deck, as well as some Lenormand cards. So, calling on your spirit guides, pile number 2. If you would, please tell us a little bit more about the context about this blessing. Where is it coming from? What is it? Thank you so much. Okay, we've got a little bit of a jumper here. We'll use that as the first one. Let's cut the deck for the others. And then this one's a little bit off screen down here using my limited space, but here's 2, 3, 4, and we'll take the middle one for 5. Beautiful. And then we have the Lenormand deck. Really good for blunt answers. If any of you are interested in learning cartomancy, Lenormand is fantastic and highly underrated. Anyways, that's my spiel for today about Lenormand. Okay, we've got one already. It's also easier to learn than tarot because there's only, I think, 36 cards if I'm not mistaken, versus the 70 plus in tarot. Okay, anyways, on to your blessing. Enough about me nerding out about cartomancy. Okay, so looking at your Lenormand today, pile number 2, we have the ring, which tends to mean a promise or a bond of some sort. Put that one right up there. Then we have the cross, which means either a burden of some sort, can mean a sacrifice, can also mean something spiritual. And then last but not least, we have the mountain, which means an obstacle, typically. So looking at all these together, reading Lenormand kind of like we would read words in a sentence, I would interpret this to say, let's see, it's a blessing related to a promise that was made regarding a burden and an obstacle in your life. I don't know if maybe you have received some communication from your spirit guides or ancestors, whatever spiritual beings you like to work with personally, that it's like they promised you something would get better, but you haven't seen that outcome yet. Or it could be someone here still on Earth that made a promise to help you with a burden or like an obstacle of some sort. Okay. Also, the ring can technically mean like a romantic partner, because it can mean marriage or a bond. So it could also be something to do with a burden being relieved or an obstacle being relieved with a romantic partner. Let's keep looking at your tarot cards to get more details. So we have the Six of Wands reversed as the inciting incident. Okay, so that tends to represent an area where we, like, especially the first card would be a victory eluded our grasp. So let's keep looking and seeing what comes through. We've got the Ten of Pentacles reversed. Sometimes can mean something to do with inheritance or legacy, especially with family or with children from parents or from children to parents. Typically, it's usually, older generations down, though. Interesting picture forming here, pile 2. We've got the Empress reversed, which can denote a mother figure. It can also denote femininity in general, especially reversed. And I'll explain in a second how I tend to read reversal cards in a blessing reading. I usually tend to read reversals as things that are going to improve in a blessing reading. Okay. I don't know, have some of you been having, and I typically don't give health-related advice on this channel, so grain of salt with this, but for some reason I got a little bit of an intuitive insight that maybe some of you have been having, for those of you where your mother is still here with us, if she's been having health problems recently, and you've been kind of worried if that'll improve or not, that might be part of the blessing as well. Okay, anyway, I just wanted to mention that just in case, even if it doesn't resonate with all of you, I thought I'd mention it just in case it does. At least a few of you. And then we have the World, which means a curtain close, a positive ending to something. 2 major arcana so far. And then we have the Eight of Swords, something feeling trapped or restricted in some way. Speaking of obstacles, like the mountain in Lenormand. Okay, so everything so far, pile number 2. Like I said with the Lenormand, the blessing is related to a promise regarding a sacrifice or a burden and an obstacle of some sort. As I said before, I'll just really quickly reiterate. I see reversals as things that are going to improve in a blessings reading. Okay. Now, with the context of the Six of Wands reversed as your inciting incident, I like to call it, kind of like what sparked this. There's something that happened in your life recently where a victory eluded your grasp, is the way I explained it earlier. It's like something that you were trying to accomplish or some goal that you were trying to get to, like it didn't work out for some reason. And I think for a lot of you, it has to do with something. Like I said, some of you might be a romantic partner because of the ring of the Lenormand card, but at the same time, I am hearing a really strong mother-related message for some of you as well, because not only do you have the Empress card, but you also have the Ten of Pentacles, which is like the legacy inheritance card, especially right next to each other. That speaks to me feminine parent energy, all right? So it's like That, or it was like something if your mother has already passed on, pile 2, it's also like something that you wanted or was supposed to be given to you that like eluded your grasp as well. Like that's another reason or way that you can interpret the Ten of Pentacles reversed with inheritance in a blessing reading. It's like you're getting what is supposed to be given to you based on legacy, okay? And same thing too with the Empress reversed, which is for those of you where this is like a mother related thing, I see that as, you know, a mother improving, okay, in a blessing reading, all right? So for those of you where your mother's been having maybe some health-related issues, I see maybe some of that improving as part of this blessing. But in general, the Empress reversed too can tend to mean things improving in terms of creativity, in terms of fertility, in terms of nurturing, all right? So it might even be for some of you that are mothers yourselves, you've been really like strained and stressed in your like your marriage or your romantic partnership recently, and especially like maybe regarding your children. Okay, that's another way we can interpret this reading. In which case, if you are a mother, pile number 2, that's going to improve in some way. There's some improvement coming and victory coming regarding that. Okay, especially too because when we think about a promise with both burden and sacrifice and an obstacle, well, what is raising a child but a promise to sacrifice for them, right? Even if, well, and I don't want to say it this way because I don't think children are a burden, but they are a responsibility, right? And so it's like something's improving in that area for those of you where like there's been issues recently with gaining victories with like your children, okay? Like maybe your child has been having some issues recently or your relationship with them has been kind of strained. It's something along those lines. There's some deep-seated promise there with either the child or the parent or with the marriage partner, okay? Or romantic partner, I should say. Now, on the beautiful side of things, well, even more beautiful because those are really great things in the first place, we have the World, which is a positive ending, a good ending, especially upright in a blessing reading, is an extra strong sign that things are going to come to a good end, especially the obstacles and the sacrifices and burdens that you've been having, okay? So, you know, for some of you that might be, there's something coming along that will make, you know, say you've been having like mother-related stresses, either as yourself as a mother or with your own mother, that will improve, okay? Or, you know, something with your mother will end that will help improve things, okay? Or it could also be like with that romantic or relationship partner, those things coming to like a good end. And when I say a good end, I don't mean as in like something abruptly coming to a close. I mean it as in like it's a good outcome type of end, okay? Now what's interesting though is you have the Eight of Swords. And the Eight of Swords represents, like I said, being imprisoned and being kind of trapped. However, there is the context with the Eight of Swords that she could get out of it herself if she thought a way through, or if she thought herself strong enough to get out of those ropes and out of that jail cell of the different swords. Like you can kind of see she's already wriggling a little bit. She's trying to get out of it. The ropes, and like her arms are technically free enough that she could take her blindfold off, but it's almost like she's blind in the metaphorical way of not understanding her own strength. So I think part of this blessing too, pile 2, is that you're going to come to understand that you have the power to fix this all along. Or it's like you have the power to weather through this all along. There's something about your own inner power here that is part of the blessing in terms of realizing that inner power, okay? Not only, you know, say if there have been health issues recently, especially with family members, right? It's like the inner power of weathering through those really hard emotional times. Same thing too, like, especially for those of you that have had, like, some of the health problems might have been related to, like, a trapping of some sort, or being trapped or bound in some way. Like, I don't know if maybe, I'm trying to think of, and like I said, I a little hesitant to give health-related advice on tarot readings just because I'm not a doctor, right? But I'm trying to think of, like, what mental, or not mental, what like health related things would be related to feeling like trapped. Like maybe a broken leg, like being kind of immobile or something along those lines, or like something has been causing mobility issues of some sort. that's what I think of when I see the Eight of Swords, okay? And just in general, too, a greater blossoming of nurturing in general with all of the family stuff related, okay? And yourself, too. It's self-care, especially when these burdens get released off of you, pile number 2. That's greater room for you to practice self-care, like self-nurturing, because when you're not focusing so much on other people, that gives you time to fill your own cup and not just everybody else's, okay? So wherever you've been lacking victories in this area recently, especially regarding, like I said, romantic partnerships, mother, child, things like that, you're going to get a good outcome. The burdens and the obstacles will get out of the way, and you'll realize that you had the power all along to weather through it. And or if there's something that's been trapping someone in a metaphorical or even physical way, that's part of what's going to improve in this blessing, or according to this blessing reading, right? Okay, so let's look at some of your other cards to get more context. We'll ask your spirit guides for more details. Anything else you want to say about this blessing, spirit guides, for pile 2? We have, a landscape. We have the Oracle, number 31. Sacred living, spirit speaking, and intervention. I'm going to draw one more tarot card on that. I typically don't with this particular deck, and I apologize that I have to kind of set it in a portrait versus a landscape way. It's just the way that this particular deck is set up with the landscape cards. I don't always have room, but you can always pause on that part of the reading if you want to look at the Oracle card a bit clearer. Sacred living, spirit speaking, and intervention, because, when we hear the term Oracle, we think of someone speaking from a god, like the Oracle of Delphi spoke for, I believe it was Apollo in ancient Greece, right? And she's even kind of looking, and it almost looks like she's smoke scrying. Those look like bay leaves that she's throwing into that fire. Like smoke scrying, trying to figure out things. Interesting. Can I get one more tarot card on that, spirit guides, please? Thank you. I don't know if it's like something to do with some spiritual being that's intervening, and that's why it improves. Let's look at the card. We have the Queen of Cups reversed, which in a blessing reading would mean like an intervention for a feminine figure, which once again makes me think like the Empress Mother energy here. Sorry, I'm pausing just a moment, pile 2. I'm just trying to make sure I'm reading this correctly. Sacred living, spirit speaking, intervention. Yeah, it's like something intervenes. There's an intervention of some sort. And especially, too, the Queen of Cups can denote the heart as well. She typically, because she's a water suit card, she tends to represent, and more clarity on that, water in tarot is emotions and feelings and our relationships, okay? It could also be just in general that a lot of you are going to see an improvement in your relationship with this figure as well, this feminine energy. Or like there's some reason that they haven't been able to speak to you and you're afraid of them not being able to speak to you, but then finally, because like an oracle is like a speaker, right? Like they speak for the gods, like the Oracle of Delphi did. So there's something too about someone speaking. It's like someone finally giving a sign of some sort, like the Oracle smoke scrying there. An intervention that's going to help. And it's something to do possibly with the heart, which could literally mean the physical heart or the metaphorical heart, right, pile 2? But it could also mean like an improvement with a figure that is a Queen of Cups, which also can mean that they're a water sign, speaking of. It could also mean that they are someone that has been previously kind of like emotionally insecure, but that improving if this is more of a metaphorical heart fix type thing, or like a literal heart fix type thing, if that's how that applies to you. What an interesting combination. Yeah, but there's some speaking coming through, some sort of intervention, some sort of sign being given, and that will help you understand, oh, okay, the burden's been released. So say it is like an issue that you've been having with, say that you're a mother and this has been an issue with your child. It's like some sort of intervention is going to work when maybe it failed before. Or it could be that maybe the child gives you a sign that, like, something is going to get better, and you're like, okay, oh, thank God, like, that thing is fixed now. Like, I don't have to worry about that burden on my child or myself anymore regarding trying to help fix it and things like that. So it's something along those lines. What an interesting card to get for this reading. We got the Oracle of Delphi. Okay. And then let us look at your last Oracle deck, and then I might pull some more tarot cards at the very end just for final details. We'll use the Citadel Oracle. Okay, anything else, Spirit, you want to say? Spirit guides? This got quite curious. Then we have the Walker. Speaking of mobility, okay, so there's some person, one of you out there that's going to watch this, and there's something to do with walking and mobility that's going to improve, okay? I swear to God. Remember I was like with the Eight of Swords, there's something with mobility or being trapped, and then you got the Walker, okay? Also, you got the element of, this is Earth, I believe. Yes, that's Earth, not water, because it has a line through it. The unknown and a journey. So it's like being able to make progress again, being able to move forward again, having walked through the unknown. And then we have a sun rising in the end here. Okay, like a dawn, like something new. And I don't know what kind of birds these are. I don't know. The shape looks like swallows. Although the red throat makes me think of hummingbirds for some reason. Something's going to get up and start walking again after a lack of progress, or like literally if this is health related, someone's going to be able to, after they've been immobile for some reason, there's an improvement in walking. Very interesting. And too, especially with it being an Earth suit card. Earth is one of the suits out of all the others I tend to read as like physical health related, because it's the material suit, right? What makes us up as people, with our physical bodies. So yeah, pretty good things so far, it looks like, pile number 2. Let's get some final tarot cards, some final details, and maybe a little bit more about how this comes about or how this improves. I know we talked about like an intervention here with the Oracle card or like a sign being given, but we'll do some final drawings here. Spirit guides, 3 cards, please. Anything else you want to say as a bow to end off the reading with? Excuse me. Okay, we have the Eight of Pentacles being very hard at work. We have a blacksmith trying to forge something. So it's been hard work. Hard work's going to pay off. Whatever you've been working hard on with this recently. Then we have the Nine of Swords, which tends to represent anxiety. Okay, so, and like I said, in a blessing reading, I tend to read the cards as things, typically when they would be negative, there's something that would be improving because we're asking what the blessing is, right? So the improvement of things that you've been worrying about. Maybe you've been even losing sleep over this. Okay, that's another interpretation of the Nine of Swords in a blessing reading. And then last but not least, actually, I'm feeling drawn to the top one for some reason. The Devil reversed. Okay, I swear to God, and I'm sorry I'm repeating it so much in this reading pile too, but it just keeps coming up again and again and again, because the Devil reversed is releasing us from the things that bind us. There's something in this blessing that's going to improve mobility, either in a physical way or like literally like freeing someone from something. Okay. It can also mean like in terms of, sometimes it means being freed from addiction. So maybe it's like a child that's been having an addiction that you've been trying to work through with them or something, or, maybe if it's a mother like that's been having addiction issues, like that's what improves and that increases their mobility or like their ability to like break through these obstacles, right? It's something along those lines. What a beautiful reading, pile number 2. The Devil reversed is a fantastic sign to get because, like I said, it's like an improvement of what was trapping someone before or holding them back is released. Kind of like the Eight of Swords we saw earlier, right? That's that feeling of being trapped and then poof, it gets fixed. So your hard work will be rewarded. We have that Eight of Pentacles. Someone's hard at work reduces your anxiety, improves your sleep, frees somebody from something. Okay. Beautiful. I don't know. For those of you this is resonating really well, let me know down below in the comments, because I'm like, I want to know where all this walking metaphor and like freeing yourself metaphor is coming through for a lot of you. I want to know, but Yeah, very, very beautiful reading. So I hope you liked the reading. I hope it resonated. And of course, most of all, I hope that it helped you, pile 2. And if so, please like the video itself. Please comment down below. And of course, most of all, please, please, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. I always give this little spiel at the end, but literally it's just a tiny little button click away for you, just a half a second, which helps me immeasurably with carrying the dream of this channel alive into the future of spiritually healing people, as well as providing more, free readings for you and others in the future. And let's cap off with our tradition, which is, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day, pile 2, and I hope to see you in the next reading. Bye. Hello there, my wonderful pile number 3. Welcome today to your pick a card reading about the blessing that will light up your life soon. And of course, as you recall, you were drawn to the very beautiful tarot for the great outdoors for your deck today. Now, as I always say when we choose with tarot decks, I like to put the main card right back into the deck itself so it's available for the message if need be. And speaking of the deck, let's begin with your tarot spread as well as a Lenormand spread today to understand more about the context of this blessing as well as maybe where it's coming from. Okay, so spirit guides of pile 3, please come forward. Tell us more about this blessing if you would. Thank you. Okay. So we already have 2 that peeked out. We have the 10 of Stones or Pentacles. And then we have the 5 of Swords reversed. All right, bit of a picture already forming. We'll talk about that in a moment. And then I'm going to cut the deck to get the rest of the cards. All right, 3, 4, and then the last pile was back here with me off screen. Let's put these over here. And then let's draw your Lenormand cards. Okay, same thing, Spirit Lenormand, more about this blessing, if you would, please. Apologies for the loud motorcycle in the background. Okay, we've got the clouds. Clouds. Something has been confusing or obscured lately. Interesting. Kind of confused. And then, let's see, I'm actually going to cut the deck this time. Same thing. Second card is the Moon. The subconscious, emotions, intuition. And last but not least, we have the Woman. The lady specifically. So reading your Lenormand reading right off the bat, pile number 3, let's look at this. So you have the clouds, the moon, and the woman. I would read that as this blessing is something to do with you've been having some confused feelings or ways to feel about a feminine figure in your life. Okay, and I know that sounds kind of weird because this is a blessing reading, but that's the context I'm hearing with the, and a Lenormand tends to be a more blunt system than tarot, that's why I really like it. So it's really good about nailing like physical details with things. So yeah, because the clouds mean something's been obscured. It's been kind of confusing. You're not certain. The moon tends to deal, like I said, with the unconscious or like feelings around somebody. And same thing, the woman is literally tends to be a feminine energy of some sort. So I don't know if there's been a woman or feminine energy in your life recently where you've been kind of confused as to how to feel about them, or maybe they've done something where they, like, it just came out of left field, or like, how do I interpret this? Or like, maybe there's something that they revealed about the way they feel and it kind of just confused you. Or you're like, what? Like, why do you feel this way? Like, some of you, it might be a family member. Maybe some of you, it's a partner. Some of you, it could also be a boss that's a feminine energy where, like, maybe you thought you were, like, doing really good, and then they said something that was kind of all left field about your job, and you're like, well, wait a minute, like, where is this coming from? It's something along those lines. Now, let's unveil your other tarot cards, though. Like I said, you have the 10 of Pentacles and the 5 of Swords reversed that already kind of wanted to be spoilers, and they came flying out right away, but let's look at the third one. We have the Queen of Swords. Okay, lots of feminine energy again. The Queen of Swords can tend to mean an air sign, so that's possible that this woman here is an air sign that we've been talking about, or has a lot of air sign placements in their chart. You know, it makes you think of Aquarius, Gemini, Libra. Interesting. Then we've got the 2 of Swords reversed. Ooh, indecision. being able to make a choice finally, though, especially in a blessing reading. And then we've got the King of Pentacles, a little bit of masculine energy. Finally, we have the King. King of Pentacles tends to do with mastery over finances and career. So I think, like I was saying before, some of you, it might be like a feminine energy boss where you're kind of not sure how to read them, okay? Or it could be someone that's like a coworker, or maybe even someone that you hired as someone working beneath you, and you're like, I don't know how to read this person. Like, I don't know. They're kind of confusing me a little bit. And especially, too, you have a lot of swords in this particular reading, pile 3. And swords in tarot are the air suit. And air always represents in tarot communication, honesty, and truth, right? Also logic sometimes, and intelligence, things like that. But especially, like, representing, say, like, the throat chakra. When a throat chakra is open, it's an honest person, right? Or denotes an honest person. And so maybe that's part of it. Maybe this person's been kind of confusing because, like, they've been saying things that aren't quite clear, or they're not very, what's the word I want to use? Like, they're not saying very committed related things. Like, especially, like, say if you wanted to hire somebody, it's kind of like, well, they said, oh, well, I'll get back to you. And then it was kind of unclear, and you're like, I don't know, right? Then looking at your tarot cards. Now, I do, and I've been explaining this to everyone today with this particular reading, as I always do with my blessing readings, is that I tend to read reversals in a blessing reading as the things that are going to improve, okay? Because we're asking about, a positive message, right? So we have 2 reversals today. We've got the 5 of Swords and we've got the 2 of Swords. Now, starting, though, with the 10 of Pentacles is the inciting incident. Now, that's the card of inheritance and legacy. So this card is, because it's like a hiking or outdoorsy related deck, it denotes, like, it looks like almost like the national parks as like a legacy given down to children, preserving Mother Nature for the future, right? So there might be some sort of like boss or like mentor-mentee relationship here with this woman, feminine energy, or it could also be like a mother and a child, or it could also be like, there's some sort of like, I don't want to say power imbalance necessarily, but like different levels of experience, or it's like trying to pass something down or make sure that it's done well by like the next generation, okay? Now, next you have the 5 of Swords reversed. So that tends to represent overcoming a conflict of some sort, especially harsh conflict, or especially conflict regarding dishonesty, because like we have that air suit symbolism once again. And so it's like improvements in this area around like less verbal fights, or like less confusion around what this woman is intending, or feminine energy is intending, I should say. And then them finally becoming clear, because then we finally have the Queen of Swords. And a Queen of Swords, pile 3, is someone who is very direct and honest with the way that they speak, especially in feminine energy way. Now, someone who speaks very true from within themselves, okay? Is very good about expressing how they feel inside outward in tactful ways. That's another really good term to use with a Queen of Swords, as a tactful person, okay? So I think part of the blessing, and it's kind of a wonky reading for you, and I don't mean that like in a negative way, but it's like, it's kind of more about this other person so far. But the blessing coming through for you is, I think you're going to finally get that clarity. Those clouds are going to go away, and you're going to finally realize, how does this feminine energy actually feel about this, okay? They're finally going to come forward and be honest, right? They're going to come forward and say, hey, here's the honest truth about this. Sorry, I was so confusing before. And I think part of the reason why they have been unclear so far, or it's been confusing, is because of this 2 of Swords energy here we have at the in the near future position, or 4th position I call. That tends to represent indecision, and especially in, like I said, a blessing reading, translate a reversal into things that are going to improve, they're going to finally be able to make a decision. They're not going to be indecisive or confusing anymore, okay? And then once again, we have like a learning teacher-student type relationship here. Literally, this looks like a man who's teaching a woman how to ice skate. So once again, we have that kind of like legacy, or like different levels of experience thing popping up, like we saw with the 10 of Pentacles. And then in the end, as the outcome, we have the King of Pentacles, okay? Especially for those of you, this is job or money related. This is a really good outcome then to get that as your final card, okay? Which means part of the blessing too is that it's going to improve things regarding job, finances, career. Maybe this is where this woman is from. Maybe it's a coworker, like I said, a boss, things like that. Maybe even a business partner. It's like finally overcoming that hump, overcoming that hurdle, that mountain, and climbing to the top and finally being like, okay, things are clear up here. Because literally, like, he climbs up a mountain and then he sees the clear skies up here and he's like, oh, okay, now I know what this person is wishing for. Speaking of, like, shooting stars, right? Shooting stars in that card. So the blessing is greater clarity with this feminine energy. The blessing is greater honesty. The blessing is improvements in finances and material things and like career around this, okay? And less conflict is another really big part of the blessing there that we saw with the Five of Swords reversed. There was one other thing I was going to mention too before we drew any of your oracle cards. What was it? Give me 1 second. Well, we'll see if it comes back. I apologize. It kind of slipped my mind for a second. I was so focused on the shooting star symbolism there with the King of Pentacles, but, oh, that's what I was going to say. I'll say it as I shuffle your oracle deck. So the other thing I was going to say, too, is if you're not recognizing this as an external feminine energy, pile 3, then if you are, a woman or feminine energy yourself, this could literally mean greater honesty or a better relationship and improvements in these areas with yourself. Maybe you've been lacking clarity or having a hard time making a decision lately yourself, in which case the blessing coming is that something's going to become very clear and honest with you, and you honest and clear with yourself in deciding where do I want to go that brings me to greater heights in terms of mastery of the material with the King of Pentacles. Okay? Building a legacy. Less conflict in your life, okay? Living a life more true and honest to yourself as a Queen of Swords would, right? Being able to make that choice, going forward with clarity, financial success, okay? So for those of you that are like, well, I don't have any woman in my life like that, it might be someone, it might technically be yourself, okay? I just wanted to mention that just in case, because I was like, some of you might not be resonating with it being an outside person, so. Right there, we've got, a portrait one. We have Mountain Goddess. Once again, feminine energy. 28. High vibration, mindfulness, power of the mind. Speaking of Queen of Swords and air energy, right? Once again, makes me just think, it reconfirms there's a lot of air energy in this reading. We have, the 3 swords cards. So maybe this woman is an air sign. Maybe you yourself are an air sign or have a lot of air sign placements in your astrological chart. But in general, what this means as a part of the blessing is that it's going to bring you to a place of higher vibration, okay? Where things are going to be more spiritually aligned with your soul's or your spirit's goals, okay? Getting to greater heights. That's another thing that's really repeated in this particular message, because we see the mountain here in the Mountain Goddess, but you also have a mountain that you climbed here in the King of Pentacles, right? Seeing things more clearly in terms of a spiritual or goal-oriented perspective, okay? So, 2, if you've been confused a lot lately, pile number 3, part of your blessing might just be generally things are going to become a lot more clear, okay? It's like the clouds finally whisk away, like we saw with the Lenormand card, the first one that popped out. The clouds whisk away, and then boom, it's like, oh, I can see clearly now that the rain is gone, right? Using the old cliche of the song, but, and then 2, the power of the mind is like greater mental clarity, greater ability with the power of the mind in terms of, maybe it's something that you've been trying to learn. Maybe you're going to go get some education of some sort that, like a certificate or a degree in certain thing here, right? Or even just self-study. Might not even have to be at an institution, right? In which case, that's success in this area, okay? Also, sorry, I apologize. I'm going to take a drink for my voice. My voice is a tad scratchy today, so I'm going to do that before I cough on your reading. So yes, educational, learning, attainment, greater understanding from the situation at a higher perspective. That's part of the blessing. Clearer air, same thing, maybe with that 5 of Swords earlier, there has been conflict. Literally, we use the phrase, oh, we need to clear the air. The air will be cleared in that case for you, pile number 3, okay? And then let's grab your last Oracle deck, and then at the end, I think I want to draw 3 final tarot cards, as I have been doing for all the piles today. It's just final little details on what the blessing is, or where it's coming from, things like that. Anything else you want to say, Spirit Guides, for pile 3 today? Excuse me. Okay, this one is like, pick me. We have Earth Sign, the Botanist. Well, look at that phrase that popped up yet again, pile 3. We have parenthood and legacy, just like we had with your Ten of Pentacles as the inciting incident. So I think for a lot of you, this is related to either like a child or like someone you're trying to train in some way. These almost look like, I think they look like peonies to me. Speaking of, it's the time of year where peonies bloom. Very beautiful. Legacy, parenthood. And then, of course, when we think of a botanist, the reason why those keywords come up is because, a botanist or someone that breeds plants, they're the ones that over time they try to breed certain traits. Like, say, if it's an apple tree, they try to make an apple that is more sweet, however, maybe is ripe longer in the season, or, things like that. Or same thing with colors, like with the peonies, like maybe a botanist would try to make a certain new color that's different, like a combination of, say, white and pink or purple, etc. So it's like trying to create something new at the same time of trying to like bring in things from an older generation of a legacy of some sort. So like that inheritance message just pops up again. It's just like the Ten of Pentacles, as I said. Speaking of also Earth Sign too, they're both Earth cards. So that speaks once again of material related things, finances, and career being Earth. It's like you're trying to hone this beautiful thing, be it this external feminine energy or yourself. And it's like you'll find success with that after that struggle and after everything that you've been doing to reduce the conflict and make decisions and get to a place of higher vibration and truth and honesty and things like that. I mean, maybe literally even some of you are working on breeding plants. I don't know. Feel free to weigh down in the comments below if you are, because that sounds fascinating. But really cool. Okay, so let's look at your final 3 tarot cards here, pile 3. So Spirit Guides of pile 3. Any last 3 things you want to say about their blessing? What other details do you want them to know, just to tie off their reading with a nice little bow? Thanks. Excuse me. I have got the scratchy voice today. Okay. We have the Knight of Pentacles reversed, and as I said, reversals we read in a blessing reading is a thing that's going to improve. So greater reliability, that's one keyword with the Knight of Pentacles. Excuse me, apologies. So greater reliability. We also have slow and steady wins the race. Maybe you've been working at this for a very long time, or you've been kind of struggling with this feminine energy for a long time, pile 3, in which case that means that's going to pay off. Then we have the King of Wands, greater confidence, greater accomplishment with our ambitions and our passions. It's a fire suit card, okay? So also greater accomplishment with creativity. That's another really good term to use with the wand suit. And especially in the masculine way, because this is a king, right? And a king in the masculine energy is action-oriented, okay? So actions regarding things that you're passionate about or ambition. Or not ambition. Ambitious, that's the word I wanted to use. Brain fart. Things that you're ambitious about, okay? Very beautiful. And then the last card here is the Wheel of Fortune reversed. However, like I said, a reversal in a blessing reading is fortune is going to be improved when it has been feeling unlucky so far, okay? Also, Wheel of Fortune can sometimes mean fate. This is fated to happen. This is supposed to happen, right? And 2, I mean, we talked about greater clarity about direction, and then we have literally a compass here with the Wheel of Fortune. So it's like finding the direction you're supposed to go with this person or within yourself, okay? Bringing you to a place of greater confidence with this person, or same thing too, if this is like a mentor-mentee type relationship that we've seen with all like the legacy-related keywords. It's like you gaining greater confidence because it's like you're passing down a piece of yourself to this person. And by accomplishing that, and seeing the way that they succeed under your guidance and tutelage, it's like that can also bring a lot of confidence too, because it's like, okay, it worked for me and now I taught someone else, now it's working for them. That's something that does satisfy, say, a King of Wands. Okay. Yeah, greater reliability. We talked about that with the Knight of Pentacles. Reversed. And actually, I just realized this too. Duh. Just looking at the Knight of Pentacles, if you look at them upright, literally, what is this person doing? They're teaching. They're like, look at this really cool cavern. Let's talk about stalagmites versus stalactites, right? This is literally like someone who is a natural tour guide, or like I guess maybe like a ranger, potentially. This is being like a national park themed deck, but, and then once again, it's like a father with a child legacy. Legacy is all over this reading, okay? Teaching other people things. So especially for those of you that have been doing teaching related things recently, this reading is a really good sign that there's a lot of blessings coming along with whatever you're teaching people about too, or whatever you're also trying to learn yourself. If maybe, say, you are in the mentee role rather than the mentor, okay? So overall, just a really beautiful reading of, like I said, less conflict. Greater clarity was a really big keyword that kept popping out. Greater direction, greater success, greater confidence with these things, okay? And especially for those of you that want to pass things down or teach other people things, and you recently have not had as much luck in this area, that's going to improve, okay? So beautiful all across the board. And that is your blessing reading for today, my wonderful pile number 3. So as I always say, if you liked it, if it helped you, and of course, if it resonated, please like the video itself. Please comment your story down below, how this resonated with you. And of course, as I always say with my little spiel at the end here, please subscribe to the channel if you have not done so yet. As I always say, that helps me immeasurably with keeping the dream of this channel alive, of spiritually healing other people, as well as providing more free readings for both you and others in the future. And as is our tradition, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day, Pile 3, and I hope to see you in the next reading.